So now we're going to show you how we clean the polyurea pump. In here we have a little bit of material left. There's probably about a gallon or so left in there. We don't want to waste that, so what we're going to do is we're going to pump it back into the buckets. The safest way to do this is do one material at a time. We're not going to do it that way. We're going to do it the dangerous way. So what we're going to do first is disconnect the lines up here. Okay, you want to make sure the right line is going into the right bucket. So we can see this is our polyol side right here from the material coming out, and this is our iso side there. So we have both buckets set up right down there where we're going to be able to take the whole assembly and drop it in like that into each bucket. Then we can just turn it on. So now we're going to show you how to clean the pump. A very common question is what type of solvent should I use to run through the machine to clean the material out. You can use any paint thinner type product like xylene. Do not use acetone. In a lot of cases you don't even really need to use any of the solvent. You can just run hydraulic oil through it. Today we're going to show you a product called M-Flush from Metzger-Magwire. It's a nice product because it's got no VOC, so not like xylene that's going to smell pretty strongly. And then we're going to put a little bit, about a half a gallon into each side, and then that will we'll use this toilet bowl brush and kind of clean the tanks a little bit, and then we'll let that cycle through for about 5-10 minutes, and then we'll pump this out, and then we'll replace it with straight hydraulic oil. And it doesn't matter what weight hydraulic oil, as long as it's over like a 32 weight. So 32 to like 65 is fine, anywhere in that range. And the main goal of what you want to do is suspend the entire system with oil in it. That way no oxygen can get to it, and it keeps the whole system lubricated for the next time you're going to use it. So okay, so what we do here, we have our material pumped back into the tanks. And you should always wear safety glasses when you're doing this because you don't want to get this stuff in your eye. Half of it in there, and the other half in here. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this can, and when I'm done flushing this stuff through, I'm going to pump it back into the can, and then you can dispose of this properly. You're just cleaning it like a toilet bowl. You just kind of move that stuff around, get it off the sides. Make sure your screen is nice and clean. Okay, you can see that's pretty good like that. All right, now we can move over to this side and do the same thing. Clean that up. This is on the iso side here, is usually where you get that white crusty buildup on the inside of the tanks. So you want to just make sure that all of that stuff is gone. All right, now that that's done, what we're going to do is take your wand and manifold, and we're going to run the material through the tanks. Really, what I like to do is run it, make sure that that solvent is 100% into the system, and then you can shut it off for a couple of minutes. That'll help break down what's inside the lines and inside the motors or the pumps. That's really what you want to do, is make sure the inside of the pump motors are actually, or the pump slaves are actually really clean. All right, so you'll notice how the material is coming out of both of the lines at a pretty consistent rate, and what you want to look for is if there's any blockage in there. I'm going to simulate a blockage with one of the valves here, And when you turn it on, see that one's going consistently, and this one's got a little bit of a pulsing like that. And if your line is blocked, it's going to look like this. It's going to be a little bit will go through, then it'll stop, and then a little bit will go through. So if you don't have a consistent amount of material going through each side, it means you have a blockage in your line or in your pump, and you need to investigate a little bit further. Okay, now we're going to reconnect the lines to the manifold, and then we're going to pump out all the M-flush solvent, and then we're going to fill the system with hydraulic oil. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to pump the M-flush back into a 1 gallon bucket down here. Once the lines are back reconnected, you still never, even though all the material has been run through a solvent, you never want to cross-contaminate. So once this is hooked up again, don't pump it back into one or the other, just get rid of it. Okay, now we're going to put hydraulic oil back into the system, and that'll lubricate it and keep it sealed off from any oxygen, so we can put it away until the next time we're going to use the pump. So it doesn't matter what kind of hydraulic oil it is. You can even use vegetable oil if you want to. This happens to be just standard 32 weight oil. And we're going to put about a half a gallon in each tank. So a half a gallon is going to come just up on top of the screens in there. All right, it's a good idea to save the old hydraulic oil container, because then the next time you use the pump, you can pump that old material into here. You don't want to reuse hydraulic oil. You can return it to an auto parts store. The other solvents you can return to like a hazardous waste paint disposal type place. All right, so now what we'll do, there's still solvent in the lines. So what we want to do is slowly run the machine until we can see on the tip. We'll be able to definitely tell solvent versus hydraulic oil. Solvent is very a thin liquid, not a lot of viscosity, and the hydraulic oil will be much thicker. So we have our waste tank here. Turn it on slowly. By running it slow, that heavier weight oil is pushing the solvent from the back to clear it all out of the lines. Okay, so you see that solvent right there coming out. And now it's getting thicker. Now you can definitely tell that has changed, and that is oil. So run it up full speed. And that's it. It's straight oil coming out right now. There's no other material. And I shut it off, and then that's it. The material is, the pump is suspended. So now what we'll do, we'll take our grease gun, give it a few pumps until the grease comes out the tip there. And then that's it. And then we'll put the nightcap on. That's just this piece here. We slide it into the static mixer retainer nut. And screw it on, and you're ready to go. Now the pump is ready to be put away, and it can stay in this condition for years before you need to use it again. Hopefully it doesn't take that long before you have to use it again, but it's ready to go for the next time. The next time you're using it, just pump the hydraulic oil out of it and put your new material in, and you're ready to go.